It's the Score North Twin Show.
Okay. Breaking Twins news. Declan actually caught wind of this last night, and now it's trickling out even more that the Twins are set to recall their top pitching prospect, 24-year-old David Festa, will join the Twins. It sounds like what, Dex, for Thursday in Arizona?
Correct, yeah.
Is that what you're hearing?
They had an opening in their rotation. Now, they could have technically slid everybody up because no one would have missed a day in the turn necessarily because they had the off day on Monday. But I think when they built in that extra starter with Varland like 2 weeks ago, or is that early last week, they still want to, spread those guys out. So he will make his MLB debut instead tomorrow on Thursday for the series finale in Arizona.
So 24-year-old right-hander. He's a former 13th round pick from a few years ago who was sort of shot through the Twins system over the past 2 years in particular. He is currently the Twins' number 1 ranked pitching prospect, according to MLB Pipeline. Their number 5 ranked prospect overall. So we saw him pitch actually Thursday at CHS Field for Declan first pitch
and you
night.
didn't like him.
Well, he started really clunkily and then kind of got it together. But here's the thing. So he's had some command and control issues throughout his career, but he has not walked anyone in like 2 weeks. 6'6", lanky guy, fastball sits 95, 97 miles an hour, and he's actually second among all AAA pitchers this season in strikeouts. So he comes in, and it's interesting too because Chris Paddock winds up on the injured list, and they're calling it shoulder fatigue.
Yeah.
But it kind of feels like, before the season, we were sitting on this show saying, for a guy that hasn't thrown, he threw 27 total innings in the major leagues over the last 2 years. He's not going to pitch for 6 months without some sort of pause or break. Be nice to build in maybe like a June injured list stint and then maybe another one sort of before September. He's at 78 innings and he's tripled his total from the last 2 years combined. So all of this kind of molds together, but I'm interested to see if Festa sticks because he is their number 1 pitching prospect. Does Paddock come back to a bullpen role? Does Louie Varland go? If Festa sticks, it could actually create a really nice trickle-down effect for this pitching staff. That's my just initial thought on this.
Paddock would probably go bullpen then. Now, he might not like that. That's the question. I don't know that I personally care about that.
Yeah.
I will say this. I think they are getting precariously close with all these stunts with Varland to ruining his season. I mean, the dude just got hammered. He started that game and got hammered. And look, I mean, we've talked since spring training, hell, the playoffs last year, right? That he looks like he is ideally suited to a bullpen role. And he didn't want to do that. And the Twins seem to be on board with that. And I would like to see them still make that move. But I wonder if Paddock, if you could, especially for the playoffs, if you could convince him, hey, dude, look, you're going to help us the most out of the pen. The only thing I'm concerned about is if Paddock comes back and starts again, I don't know that this arm fatigue thing is going to clear itself up in 2024 as well. So, there's a lot of question marks here. I do think that there are definite tracks this team could go down that would help them. But, Dex, I don't know that they're willing to do so yet. And so it's sort of weird because it's like these things that make sense aren't really being done yet.
Well, Varland wanted to be a starter.
Right.
That was clear. That wasn't like, hey, we're making you a starter against your will kind of a thing.
Right.
Varland wanted to be a starter. They stretched him out to be a starter. He added more pitches to his mix. I think the weird part is the lost in translation part is why is he throwing so many changeups at AAA, but then he comes up here for spot starts and appearances and doesn't throw the changeup at all. I thought that was a little wonky, but I think it's clear that after watching this, after the last 3 or 4 months, that Varland's role is in a bullpen. It's not as a starting pitcher. And with Paddock, I mean, you saw him kind of rev up some nice velocity last year out of the bullpen. We've seen that from other starters. We've seen that with Griffin Jacks, Glenn Perkins. Other guys have obviously transitioned to a bullpen role. They can add a couple more ticks into velocity. And with Paddock, if he's going to have dead arm type of problems, wouldn't you rather limit his type of workload where he's only warming up and pitching twice a week for, 3 innings at a time total over the course of a week? So I think, similar to last year, they kind of used these exact same scenarios. Like they got Brock Stewart back. He was a high leverage arm for them. He was a big part of their rotation down the stretch. They added Chris Paddack and Louie Varland into that mix. Same thing that happened last year. Now, could they still go add another reliever at the deadline? I think they will. I think they'll add some type of serviceable arm because they need it. But they definitely don't have to overpay for a Jorge Lopez. They don't have to, they won't be in the market for Mason Miller if he does become available because he's going to command an insane return from Oakland. So they have internal options to replace him. But, for as much as we question this rotation, they've only had 6 starters, I believe, all year, which is the fewest in baseball. I mean, Louie Varland got replaced with Simeon Woods Richardson, and now David Festa's, I believe, only going to be the 7th. So they haven't had to use a ton of different arms, and you need a bunch of different guys to get you there over the course of a season and starting pitchers. But I'm curious with Festa. He's got control issues. He can strike out a lot of bats, but I think we're probably looking at like a 5 and fly guy for right now. Like his pitch count gets up too high, which is fine. Yeah, that's all you can ask for at this point.
I mean, here's where I'm at with all this. I hear what Judd's saying. I don't know that they've done anything wrong with Varland. I mean, we can sit here and I think at the end of the day, we were right in thinking at the end of last year, yeah, this guy's future is as a reliever. But if the Twins come back to that and let's start with Varland and kind of work our way here because this all ties together. If their comeback to that was, hey, if there's even like a 25 or 30% chance that a guy in his mid-20s who throws pretty hard, that if we think he can be a starter, let's try it for the first 2 or 3 months of the season at AAA, starting in the major leagues, I guess, and then AAA. And then we'll know. Well, I think now you kind of know. And then if they keep pushing this all year and he doesn't join the bullpen at some point by like August or September, then I will say they wasted and ruined his season. I'm not ready to say that yet. But it was kind of an organic process of, all right, let's try it. Okay, we happened to be right on this show that it wasn't going to work. He's a reliever.
Right.
Now you go to Simeon Woods Richardson, who was one of your top pitching prospects for a couple of years.
Yep.
And he's in his, 24? He's been clicking pretty well for you. That's awesome. Okay, now you plug in a 24-year-old, highly ranked prospect from a couple of years ago. And then on the Paddock side, it's like, I don't know, can that guy really complete 28 to 32 starts after basically not pitching as a starter for 2 years? Also, he hasn't really been effective as a high-end starter since 2019. Something just kind of feels off about it. Well, let's start the season, see what happens. And then the organic changing of the guard is David Festa performs really well the first 2 months at AAA. So you might just be seeing an organic changing of the guard where Pablo Lopez, Joe Ryan, and Bailey Ober are your 3 reliable guys. And now you're inserting 2 24-year-old highly ranked prospects into the 4 and 5 slots. And if it works, now Varland and Paddock can come in throwing 98 miles an hour out of the bullpen in August and September. This could wind up working really well if Festa and Simeon Woods Richardson continue to perform well.
The thing about Varland that bugs me is this. It's what Deck said. So he's going to go down, which is fine. As a starter, he's going to work on pitches. Changeup. But then he comes back here, and clearly there's not a confidence for him to throw that pitch here. So he goes back to being the starter that he was previously. In my opinion, then that's the type of guy that has to stay at AAA until he gets that pitch honed to be a starter, if that indeed is his role. So like I just think that there is a wishy-washiness in how he and the team have approached this that I don't love. Because like I don't like this where you basically say, and rightfully so, okay, dude, you don't have enough pitches yet to start here. Okay, so he goes down. But then he doesn't have confidence yet. So then they bring him back and say, okay, we're going to start you, but don't throw that pitch yet. This is where I think you just need to pick a path. And I think the path is clear. And the Paddock thing I'm fine with. I mean, what's going on with him was, as to your point from before, Phil, as predictable as possible. Like there's nothing about his year where you're like, oh, his arm, it's fatigue. We knew this, and I don't even blame them. So like that's not a blame game thing. The Varland thing, though, I think there's something there. I just think everyone needs to get on the same page.
Yeah.
And I think if you were to tell us, like, hey, by June 26th, Chris Paddock's going to make 14 starts. He's going to have a handful of games where he strikes out 10 batters and holds his own. I think we would have taken the results. Like I don't think anyone should be like disappointed in the results that Chris Paddock has given the Twins up to this point. I think he has provided exactly what he was asked to do so. And I think Falvey and they talked him up a lot this offseason of like, oh, we're super excited after what we saw in the bullpen last year, and he's going to help us. I mean, a little bit of lip service on a pig there, but he's been able to give them a lot. And I think Paddock is the type of guy. I don't see Paddock throwing a fuss over, we're going to put you in the bullpen. He's a pretty self-aware dude. He's a prideful guy. Maybe these words backfire on me, but I think he just wants to help this team in any way he can. And if that's in the bullpen as maybe another flamethrower super reliever, I think Paddock is open to that transition too.
Hasn't he's had 2 Tommy Johns, right?
Yeah.
Hasn't he?
Yes.
At a certain point, and he hasn't been a really effective starter in 5 years now. He has the personality of a reliever in some ways too, right? A little swashbuckling,
He's the sheriff,
talks
damn
in
it.
the third person. Yeah, he's the sheriff coming in.
He's got the guns.
And with Duran having really his clunkiest year of his career, you could just use some other guys who come in and throw flames to just in case. Like, okay, because we're all kind of sitting here banking on Duran's not going to be this clunky all year, right? He at some point he's gonna dial it in, but if he doesn't, who else are you putting out there on the front line with Griffin Jacks? It's not Cole Sands. All due respect to, he's having a pretty solid season. It's probably going to be a converted starter that was, throwing 94, 95 as a starter, and now he's going to ramp it up. And so I mean, it all comes down to Festa. If Festa comes up and
It's all on you, buddy.
Festivus.
and he walks everybody, and it happens to be just, hey, we had to call you up because we needed a starter for 1 week, and he goes back down.
Yep.
Then you need Paddock to come back and be in your rotation, or you need Varland to come up, or you need to make a trade, which could still happen. But we'll see. Best case scenario, the best pitching prospect in the organization, who's 24. He's not 21. He's 24. This is an age where it's time to start your major league career. And if it clicks for him, everything else kind of falls into place.
I will say this in defense of the Twins, who have made some questionable moves. The Jose Barrios trade has turned out.
Yeah, both of these guys are in.
A year ago, we're
Austin
like,
Martin.
are either of these guys going to play? And Martin was struggling, right? Like, it's worked out pretty damn well.
Yeah. Yep, Austin Martin getting on base, playing whatever position you ask him to. Simeon Woods Richardson's been a reliable starter.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it looked rough when last year around this time you're like, boy, Austin Martin's kind of nowhere near being a regular contributor.
Trying to get Martin to hit for more power, the more I watch him, was a weird decision.
Just get on base, man. Just get on base, draw
but he's
walks.
good at that. Like, it's not like, well, you're deficient there, right?
Yeah.
Like, I watch him play, and I mean, he strikes me as the exact type of player that this team needs.
Dude, can you imagine? Plouffe went on a rant yesterday on just sort of the cookie cutter nature of, the sweeper, for instance, that we have data that says the sweeper is your best pitch.
Sweeper.
So then you should just keep hitting the sweeper button. Spam, sweeper.
Throw the sweeper again.
But there's a human element that goes into part of the reason why your sweeper is effective is because you're setting guys up with your fastball and then you're throwing a sweeper off the edge. And for hitters, I almost feel like baseball has gone so far in the direction of everyone needs to maximize their power. We need to squeeze every ounce of power out of everyone. But baseball's been around for 150 years. And even if you look at the last 25 or 30 years,
Yep.
Can you imagine going to like Juan Pierre or Luis Castillo, some of these guys, and saying, hey, we really need to make sure that you are launch angle. You're not going to get by just slapping the ball around. It's like, well, some guys are great at getting on base and setting the table and going first to third. Like, let Austin Martin be Austin Martin.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that interview that Denard Span did this offseason, I'm forgetting with who, Xavier Scruggs, I believe. MLB
X,
Network.
I call him. It's my friend.
Yeah. Denard did a sit down with him, and Denard Span's last year, I have this pulled up too in the big leagues, was 2018. He hit 272 with Seattle. He hit 238 with Tampa Bay. And Denard was like, like I knew I was nearing the end, but I figured I did enough to like I should probably keep playing ball. No one called him because he was an average hitter who had an above average, who got on base at a decent rate, did not strike out all the time, but did not hit for power. And he never got a phone call. He hit 261 his last year in the big leagues. He hit 272 the year before.
But he had an on base of 340 and an OPS plus 12% above league average. Like,
yeah. Yep. And no one called him because he doesn't hit bombs. And it's weird because even with some of the pitching things, I feel like we're going backwards. I know John Boy's talked a lot about this. Like all of a sudden the splitter's back. The split finger is back. It's this new great pitch in baseball. Look at this. Look at all the information. The split finger, like 15 years ago, pre-analytics, like everyone wanted to throw a split finger. And now it's back. And now even stolen bases, people are trying to emphasize that. It's weird how sometimes we're labeling what analytics and new data is as things that were making baseball players effective just 15 years ago.
Yeah. I feel like, too, that pitching-wise on that subject, this whole thing of basically throwing as hard as you possibly can, which is, if you got the arm, awesome, right? But I mean, where's my crafty Jamie Moyer just slopping it up there? Because to Plouffe's point, those guys are hard to hit because they're always changing speeds. Like any of these guys can time up a fastball.
It's the difference in speeds on pitches that.
Yes, exactly right. Like as much as we might marvel at the gun, well, Duran, he's the poster child right now because they're trying so hard because they know that. They know if he just tries to gas guys, they're going to hit him.
I do think like Jamie Moyer is such an extreme example because his fastball was literally 82 miles an hour the last 10 years of his career.
Brought that up.
But I think as velocity goes up, I think you can't be throwing 89 anymore. But by the way, 10 years ago, the average fastball was like 91 miles an hour in baseball. It's like 93 or it's the average fastball keeps going up basically every 2 years. But yeah, there's, just back to the broader point, there's some fashion comes back around all the time. Like bell bottoms came back when I was in high school in the early 2000s and like, vintage things come back around, and I think we should normalize making contact, getting on base, and not needing to have everybody maximize the entire bag of their power. And Austin Martin would fall into that bit. So
I say bring back slop. Bring back slop.
Slot pitchers. Yeah.
Slot pitchers. I mean, they did have a problem. Dakota Hudson, who has like a 55% ground ball rate, which is insanely high in this time of baseball. Like the Twins hitters had I asked Rocco about it, and he called it baseball death when you have ground ball lefty pull side outs. It's baseball death. And I asked, and then I followed it up with Royce Lewis about like, is it hard when you are going to go look and see so many guys that are throwing 96, 97, and then all of a sudden here comes Dakota Hudson with his 89 mile an hour sinker, and you can't square it up. Like it is a completely different look when you're used to seeing all these fast pitches coming in, then all of a sudden here comes, to Judd's point, a slop guy coming up and getting baseball death against you because you are trying to swing out of your shoes against it.
Yep. So David Festa going to make his major league debut on Thursday against the Diamondbacks. We'll see if he sticks. We have a random twin of the week to get to here. You can see all sorts of fun players with the St. Paul Saints this summer. I mean, Matt Wallner is up to 18 or 19 home runs. Brooks Lee's playing all over the diamond now and hitting bombs. And there's other fun players. David Festa was there for the first half of the season. Get your tickets and experience one of the most fun atmospheres in all of professional baseball at saintsbaseball.com. Tickets and full schedule at saintsbaseball.com. EcoFun is your summertime fun headquarters. EcoFun Motorsports carries a full line of scooters, motorcycles, ATVs, side-by-sides, and even watercraft, 2024 Kawasaki and Yamaha watercraft. To find out more, you can stop into one of their two metro locations, Forest Lake on the north edge of the metro. That's the Forest Lake location has the watercraft that you see on the YouTube channel right now. And then the Burnsville location on the south end of the metro, EcoFunMotorsports.com. Tell them the Score North Twin Show sent you in, EcoFunMotorsports.com. Before we get to random twin of the week, too, The two things you can do to help us keep growing the Score North Twin Show, in addition to just listening and watching however you consume, click the subscribe button and the like button on the brand new Score North Twin Show YouTube channel, and then give us a 5-star rating and a positive review on Apple and or Spotify, if you could. That helps us grow the show and build momentum as we get to the stretch run. So Judd has a random twin of the week. Last week, I collected my 18th victory with Dustin Moore.
Never should have let that happen. I should have gotten that one.
18 wins for me all time. Declan 14, Judd with 13. The last handful of random twins: Dustin Moore, Grant Balfour, Marty Cordova, Carlos Gomez, and Rick Reed. So Judd will throw out some clues. Dex and I can shout out answers whenever we want to. If one of us hits a third strike, the other person wins automatically.
Mm-hmm. Are you boys ready?
No Googling.
All right. This former twin, random as he can be, is still active.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
He made it to the big leagues despite being undrafted. To give you guys a little bit of context, what year we're talking here, he played in the World Baseball Classic and actually won a silver medal in 2017. His minor league career as a twin, or in the system, was interrupted by a suspension for violation of the Drug Prevention and Treatment Program. Once he was called up by the Twins, he had a hit in his first 5 big league games.
Take a guess.
Yeah.
Williams Astudillo.
Incorrect.
Oh, that's a great guess.
It was good.
Great guess.
It was good. In fact, where's he playing now?
I don't know. I don't even know if he's still
Japan?
active. This sounds like a
He's
guy
He's
that.
definitely playing baseball still. Isn't
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, he loved baseball. Loved the game. His last big league organization was the Detroit Tigers, although he never played in a game for them, for their big league team. So he was the last team to sign him, and it was to a minor league contract, Detroit Tigers. That was in 2020. The previous year, so 2019 season, he played baseball in Japan.
Chris Colabello.
Incorrect.
That's a great guess. Too.
Incorrect. Although he was suspended, although he was with Toronto, I think, when he was suspended for violating the steroid thing. All right, this former twin will turn 34 on August the 1st. It's almost time for his birthday.
Oh my God, what was his name? I know who it is. I can't think of his
This is
name.
the first. This is unbelievable. This has never happened before. on the
I'm
show.
picturing him right now.
This has never happened before on the show. Declan can steal right now. Declan, if you know what Phil is thinking, if you can tap into Phil's mind, you can steal away this.
What the hell was that
guess.
guy's name?
I have like somewhat of a guess, but I don't.
Kenny's Vargas.
Oh, there it is. Son of a.
That's it.
Let's
You got
go!
it.
Let's go!
Oh my God, Declan, you had a
Kenny's
chance.
Vargas!
We have never had that big a delay.
I didn't sniff that out. I mean, I
We
wouldn't
have
have guessed.
never had that type of
Thank
delay
you. Oh,
before.
thank
In
you.
fact,
Thank you,
there
yeah.
will be calls for a guest clock. I can see it now.
No, you can. He could have jumped in. He could
Yeah,
have jumped in.
I had no idea. Jonathan Scope was the other one I was thinking of, but I think
Jonathan Scope. He was a Tiger, although he played.
he
for
was
the
a
Tigers.
Tiger, but I don't think he got popped, and I don't think he won a silver medal in 2017. So
No.
Kenny's Vargas, man. Is he what was he? Venezuela? What
He's
team
in the
was
Mexican
he on?
League now.
No, but what World Baseball Classic team was he on?
I got. Hold on a second.
And the undrafted thing is tricky because
yeah, that's
international. If you're a stud
Yeah.
from the Dominican or Venezuela, you're not going through the draft process.
That's why we were tricky.
You're getting a $5 million signing bonus.
Yep,
Puerto
that's why-
Rico. Puerto Rico.
Yep. Oh no, that was very tricky.
Although I think isn't Puerto Rico now included in the Major League Baseball draft?
They
Maybe
might
I'm
be.
wrong on that, but Kenny's Vargas. So he is active. Yeah, he's He's playing for the Dos Laredos.
Yeah, his second tour of duty with
them. And
he's
crushing it, by the way.
Well, yeah.
You see Robinson Cano is playing in that league and hitting like
I did.
450.
Don't you know?
I did. Robinson Cano. The greatest thing is their jerseys are nothing but advertisements.
Yeah.
Like I saw the Cano picture. It's like Jiffy Lube, Quick Trip.
Robbie Cano. Don't you know?
Don't you know?
How the Yankees lead 5-2.
John Sterling just walked away from the job.
Didn't have it anymore, man. Yeah.
Got tired.
Don't you know? It's an A-bomb from A-Rod.
It's
the Yankees lead 9-3.
Glaber Day for Glaber Torres.
He
I
got
always
hit
loved
with that
one.
foul ball last year, or 2 years ago, whenever that
Yeah.
was.
Oh, here's a foul ball. Ow!
Oh, that one hit me.
No.
All rise for the judge.
Who was the third baseman that the Twins had for a minute a few years ago?
Gio Urshela.
Gio Urshela.
Gio Urshela.
Happy
He's
fella.
a happy fella.
Those-
And the Yankees lead 5-1.
He came back here with the Tigers. By the way, he pulled his hamstring in his first at bat.
And they played his
and
walk-up song.
They
here.
played his damn walk-up song,
Which I knew would
when he
piss
came up. Yes,
you off because
We
you hate
don't
that
need
song.
We don't need to do that.
And Kelsey loves that song.
No, she likes it because she knew I hated it. Can't stand it.
You know what? That is your future wife you're talking about. She
It is.
loves that song.
It
she
is.
loves that song. Good for
Yep.
you, Kels.
If you want to see Declan's fiance make her Write That Down debut, you can check that out over on the Score North YouTube
She was
channel
good.
and the Mackie and Judd podcast feed. Yeah.
Good job by
That's
her.
great, man. Some wedding predictions. So, all right, boys, that's the Score North Twin Show here today. If you missed Tuesdays with Trevor Plouffe, that episode was awesome yesterday. He's been great every single week. State of the Twins on Mondays. Declan's Extra Innings podcast you can find all throughout the week. We'll see if David Festa can stick in the rotation tomorrow.